Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Burt Steingraeber from Burt Steingraeber Consulting in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Today I want to talk about disciplinary techniques for supervisors. Sometimes we have to disciplinary our supervisors just like we do with our regular employees, and there are certain things to try and keep in mind as we do this. I'm going to discuss 5 with you this morning that I think are probably my top 5. The first one is try and keep the emotions out of the conversation. Sometimes as owners we get all wrapped up in the emotion of an incident, and we need to try and keep that outside of the disciplinary discussion that we're having with that supervisor. The second tip that I want you to keep in mind is to cool down before you have this conversation. Sometimes we immediately pull in a supervisor to discuss an infraction, and sometimes taking that 10 or 20 minutes of separation from the incident to the discussion can make the discussion a whole lot easier to have. So try and separate those two by having your own little cool down session before the conversation. Also, I want you to be decisive. I want you to, when an infraction occurs with a supervisor or an employee, I want you to take immediate action. Sometimes waiting that day or two can have an impact. In other words, facts are forgotten. The incident doesn't seem as severe as it was at the time that it actually occurred. So I want you to keep that in mind. Obviously, the third tip is to, or the fourth tip is actually to keep your conversation with the supervisor private. We don't want to do this in front of others. We don't necessarily need to have a council of supervisors watching this. This should be pretty much a one-on-one type of discussion with that supervisor. Remind him or her of the rules. Remind him or her that this is a verbal warning or a written warning, whatever your internal policy is. And you want to obviously, again, have this conversation in private. The last fifth tip is not to attack the person. Try and do this in a calm and orderly way. I always like to make notes before I have a conversation like this with that supervisor. That keeps, again, the emotions out of it. It gives me a chance to cool down. It gives me a chance to review some of the points that I want to address. It also gives me a chance to write down some recommendations with that person to avoid having this happen again. I hope these tips help you today. Again, feel free to visit my website at the bottom of the page or give me a call directly. Love to help you guys out as best I can. This is Burt Steingraeber, Business Consulting.